Hey, if you could do it all over again, would you still be an entrepreneur? I want to know your thoughts, so be sure to post them down below in the comment section. We're talking about all this and more in this week's episode. Stay tuned. Welcome to this week's edition of Entrepreneur Insider. I am your host and the founder of the Black Entrepreneurs Network, Tia Robertson. As we can all testify, there are lots of ups and downs when it comes to being an entrepreneur and running your own business. But if given a second chance, what would you do over, and would you still choose to take this journey, knowing what you know now? Well, in this week's episode, I'm talking to a couple entrepreneurs to get their opinion, see how they stand, and to see if they would do it over again and what they would change. Stay tuned for this special feature.
Who is your target audience, like specifically? Women, men, people with income that's $1 million or more. Like, I'm just throwing out stuff. People with small dogs, that are chihuahuas. Like, who is your specific target audience and why? How did you determine that's the best audience for you? Or are you still figuring that out?
Well,
And
because
Evie, I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt you. Sorry. You can, in your case, you can speak to, since you have two businesses, you can actually speak to, to both of your businesses if you want.
okay, so I'll start with my personal business, which is KEI Marketing. So prior to me getting involved in infrastructure and construction, I was actually in the world of fashion, and I make custom tailored suits for men with challenging figures. I haven't done that business since before COVID. Now I'm looking to travel to Thailand to find and Turkey to find another a factory, but that is my claim to fame in the Washington, D.C. area. I'm one of the only female tailors in the area. And I also, to market my product, I produced fashion shows for organizations in the DC area. And they were very popular, but they did not necessarily pay all it didn't support my lifestyle. So I wanted to figure out how to maximize my talent with the men's clothier. So I decided to try to approach government for uniforms, to make uniforms for government personnel. And I met my business mentor, who's now my husband, and he helped transition me from, instead of him helping me with my uniform, he helped transition me to construction and infrastructure, which is his wheelhouse. And I must say that was a great move because, it's been about 7 or 8 years in that capacity. But our target, my target market, as well as his, has always been in the minority or Black community. Just because we, don't always have access to opportunities that are out there for us in the world of diversity. So, if we can do our part to fill in that gap and make the connections with business owners and corporate entities that has a diversity initiative, then that's where we step in. We make the connections. And so meeting the Black and Global, that company, it's the same premise, but just on an international level. And so it's a great marriage made in the business world.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I have I don't know, it's someone I haven't spoken to in years though, but I think from his Facebook username, he's still a tailor. He was in the Baltimore area. I was going to say I would make an introduction. I haven't spoken to him in years though, but I can reach out and see if he's still a tailor and if he has any resources in Turkey or in Thailand that I can share with you if you want. So cool. But that is a great, thank you so much. Yeah. It's always interesting learning about people and what they do and their passion. So
Well,
and congratulations. I don't know if I congratulate you on your wedding either, but yeah, Keandra, what about you?
So literally my target market, I want to say, oh, it's everybody. But because we hopefully everybody plans to retire. People don't plan to just work. But really, the people who really pull up my heartstrings are single moms. The single mom that's living paycheck to paycheck who just doesn't know which way to go. And the reason why I say single moms is because I myself am a single mom.
Okay.
And until I was informed and educated, I was kind of lost in the sauce as well. So I really understand what they're going through in terms of just trying to make ends meet, trying to make sure that their kids are good, but just helping them to understand, hey, if you don't have certain things in place, even for your kids, if something were to happen to you, then what? You know,
Yeah.
and I spoke with the mother one time and she's like, oh, well, you know, if something happens to me, they're just going to go and stay with my mom. And I was like, oh, is that you have a will and a trust for that? And she's like, no. And I'm like, well, did you know that in the state of North Carolina, they go to foster care and your family can fight for them? And she was like, what? And I was like, yeah. And so that's why it's so heavy on the education. And it's just for single moms. That's me. I get it. I understand. So that is really my target market. It seems like anytime I go to a networking event, that's who I'm always gravitated to.
Yeah, definitely. Because you're right. I mean, a lot of times we don't think, I mean, we're like, oh my God, I'm a single mom too, right? So I do. I'm like, oh, right. Who would get my kids? But then you have to think like with my mom, she's visually impaired. So it's like, is that even a good choice? And other people have their own kids. And that's true, you know, but right. We don't think about it until it's absolutely too late. I'm exactly the person who you're targeting. I will easily admit it. I won't. So cool. Okay. So what sets your businesses apart from similar businesses in the industry? And either one of you can go.
So I'll just pop in. So I think that really what sets what I'm doing apart from other people that do the same thing is that I take a real educational approach. I get to know what are your dreams? What are your goals? It's not transactional. It's like I really get to know who that person that I'm sitting with is. Who's their family? What's their dynamics? Where do you see yourself in 5, 10 years? You know, so that I can understand how to help them. Because it's not a cookie cutter thing. It's not like, oh, one size fits all. It's not. And so I really try to cater everything and make it specific for that individual or that family that I'm sitting with.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. And what about you, Abby? Oh, there you go.
What sets us apart is that there are a lot of companies that have export assistance, such as my MBDA, which is a Minority Business Development Agency, the U.S. all the chambers around the country. But those agencies are mostly advocacy agencies, whereas we have packages that we can take you from concept to implementation. We can walk you through the process. We can help you get the funding to travel to the country that you're interested in doing business with, and grants in the form of a grant through the federal government. We have established relationships with these embassies around the country. We have And when I say we, I'm speaking of Melissa, but the team, we have a very high profile team. Our legal department, she pulled corporate lawyers. So we are here to help companies grow and on approach. And we don't know of too many other businesses that can or even know how to do what we're doing now.
Okay. So what were the expectations that you all had before you started your business? And I know Evie, you had a different background and kind of transition, but what were the expectations you all had, like before becoming a business owner or changing your business versus what actually the reality is, right, that you deal with as a business owner?
For me, it's work. It's doing business in a world not designed to help Black companies prosper. And that is, that is our goal. We want companies to do well. And I knew the challenges would be there. Even for me as a Black woman, working in tailoring. I'm not, unfortunately, you have your friend in Baltimore, but in the tailor business, it's a dog eat dog world, so I often helped invited other tailors to participate in events that I hosted, but I never received that. It was never reciprocated. No one invited me to their events. And that was one of the things that kind of didn't sit well. So I don't know.
So did you think like you would get more support from the Black community when you started and were surprised that you didn't, or were you kind of like
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like the fashion shows that we did initially, it was with like Howard University, the AKAs, the different sororities around, and it was for their fundraisers. And they almost every time wanted to nickel and dime and pay me well below what they, what it cost to put on such a production. And so I had to gravitate to other areas where they did have budgets, or at least were willing to increase the budget. So I started doing the same type of fashion shows for department stores, for municipalities, that were opening outdoor shopping centers. And, I had to get creative with it, but it was still a lot of work.
Yeah, but I applaud you for the creativity, because a lot of times, right, we do have to think of like another way, or as a lot of people say, like out of the box. And sometimes people aren't able to do that. So I applaud you for being able to do that, because that's not an easy feat. A lot of times, people are like, I'm just not going to deal with, Black organizations anymore, or I give up. And, I'm like, don't give up, like think of something different. So I applaud you definitely for being willing to do that. So cool. Okay. What about you, Keandra? Any expectations or anything that you had before or becoming an entrepreneur that the reality was a little bit different?
Yeah, because I thought, oh my gosh, everybody's gonna want this information, and they're just gonna be, I don't know what I'm gonna do with myself. I'm gonna be so busy, and it's hard to talk to people of color about money.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very, very sore subject. It's taboo, because we don't grow up in households where money is discussed.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm trying to like break through, especially like when I said to these single moms, it's okay to talk to your kids about money. Like what I do with my son is I put all the bills in order of date. And I say, okay, here's the money. These are the
I
bills.
love that. Okay.
Because we didn't sit down. My dad always just said, if a bill comes in the mailbox and you can't afford to pay it, you're living beyond your means.
Yeah.
That was my financial education growing up, so it was like,
Right.
oh. So I decided when I became a mom, my son was of age to understand that he's going to be an adult one day.
Yeah,
And he needs
I
to
like that.
understand how money works, to have a
Yeah,
different relationship with money.
I really like that.
Kendra,
That is,
that is so true
yeah,
because I did not have that type of education in our household. So you're absolutely correct. And quite frankly, I did not receive it until I was out of college and I had a Jewish roommate. And it was her mother who taught me the importance of good credit, not
Mm.
really savings. My mom, they were get a college education, get a good job and save your money and retire. Okay, so but the Jewish family, they were business owners. They, understood you. They lived on, they did a lot through credit, and so you're absolutely correct with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even then, Evie, that's really good that that family was able to share that with you, because I realize a lot of times the people, like you said, we come across like roommates and their families, and even then they're like, I'm not really sure if it's my place to share anything, or they feel like sometimes people just assume that our families did tell us, because yeah, I mean, my family still has, like you said, I kind of had that same go to college, get a job talk, right? But we still never talked about finances, even after I was going to tell people, unfortunately, I guess I'm still alive. But like there was a point where I don't know if you all remember, I might be dating myself, but back when there was like Right On magazines and like a lot of those magazines, like, that had the ads in the back. So I still love New Edition, but I love New Edition. And, and so in the back of this magazine, there was like, they used to have the advertisements that, you cut out and you mail it with a check to get like a poster or whatever it was, signed autograph or whatever. And so I took my mom's checkbook because I always saw her writing checks and I saw they went to something like to pay something. It usually was like in the store because we never talked about bills or whatever. And so I took a check, I went to her checkbook and I wrote out a check. I don't even know how I knew to write a check, but anyway, I wrote a check and I sent it in to Right On magazine to get my thing. I swear, like I said, I'm fortunate they didn't kill me. But even then, you would think that would open up the door for them to say, let's talk about money. It didn't. It opened the door to get my butt whooped. But but for taking her money, because that's how they saw it, but they didn't see it as like, let's discuss how money works. And I'm really glad you mentioned like even the bills, because I kind of find myself doing the same thing. Like I have two children as well, a 9-year-old and a 17-year-old. And I find myself either being afraid to tell them like I don't have money for that thing because we need to pay bills or blah blah blah. I'll just be like, hey, we can't do that right now. But I don't sit down and talk to them about the bills. And that really is something that I think from I'm going to take away. There's a lot of things I'm taking away from this conversation, but that's one of the main things I'm going to take away is like next time I get paid is to sit down and be like, hey, this came in, these things need to go out, and sit down and actually show them that, because we don't do that in our community.
Yeah,
I have a
wanted you to do
no.
that. There's a book that we did when COVID started, and it's called Secrets That Self-Made Millionaires Teach Their Children.
Hmm.
And when you get the book, you can go online and download a workbook. And so there's a lesson every single day. And so I told my son, hey, if you complete this book with the workbook, what reward would you like? Like, oh, I really want a new iPhone. Okay. So you do this work, we discuss it, we talk about it, and then I can reward you. So it's not like you have to have some skin in the game.
Yeah. You said that secrets that self-made millionaires do every day?
Teach their children.
Teach their children. Sorry, I was okay. Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna check that. Yeah, definitely. Because like one of the things, I have a little Black boy, so I'm sure you all know, like we have to be very creative with their energy and their behavior. And so I recently started to incentivize him, like, with money, like you behave, because and this is the thing, he behaves for other people. It's just me. I've realized, because I guess, you always hope your kid goes out, they behave for the teachers and behave for like other parents. And everyone else is like, oh, he's an angel. And I'm like, well, what is going on with me? Like, why is he? But I was like, okay, clearly I need to do my own incentive system for him. So definitely I'm gonna check that out. Thank you. And then I would get worried because my 17-year-old, she's about to go out in the world. And it's funny, like even I have a coworker and she's like, and they're biracial. She's white and her husband is Black. And she was like, Tia, his family never talked about finances. And I'm like, yeah, Nicole, that's just not a thing that we do. I'm not saying it's right, because they went through like the Dave Ramsey thing. And she's saying like they're just getting to a point where like they're saving and putting some things in place, like wills and things for their family. And I'm like, yeah, because that's just not, it just surprised her so much. I'm like, yeah, because that's just not what we do. So, cool. Okay. One more question for you all, and then we'll kind of wrap up. Knowing what you know now about running a business, operating a business, dealing with people, whether it's contractors, teammates, partners, whatever, what would you do differently if you had to start all over? If anything.
I would have started sooner.
Hmm.
I was almost embarrassed that I didn't know a lot of the things, and I just felt like I should have known.
Yeah.
And you walk into these rooms and people are like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Yeah.
Like, and
Exactly.
I felt like I was playing catch up. So definitely if I had a chance to kind of turn the tables around, I would have wanted to start this 20 years ago.
Yeah, I agree with you.
For me, I think I kind of agree with you. Although I did well in the corporate world, being a business owner, it fits my personality. And I think I would use more of other people's money than my own.
For more information about anything in this episode, to be featured in an upcoming episode, or sponsor one, be sure to email me at info@theblackentrepreneursnetwork.com. As always, this show is brought to you in partnership with Relationship Entertainment Television. If you haven't, be sure to subscribe to their YouTube channel, follow them on Facebook, and of course, download and stream the Roku app. It's 24/7. Don't forget to like and share. And if you're on YouTube, be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you're notified when new episodes of Entrepreneur Insider premiere every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern. Again, only on RETV. Until next time, don't forget, be great. Peace.
Tune in to Millionaire Man Cave, only on Relationship Entertainment Television, Tuesdays at 8 p.m.
This is Tyron
and Nicole with your weekly RATV News Break. Each Thursday at 12 noon Eastern, we'll come to you with the latest news, trends, and more with a positive spin.
We know there's a lot of positive news that doesn't get reported, but we want to give you the opportunity to share your story here on RATV. If you have a positive news story you want us to share, you can submit your story to news@re-tv.net.
Don't forget to subscribe to the Relationship Entertainment Television YouTube channel. Download the new RATV Live app on your mobile device and follow Relationship Entertainment Television on your favorite social media platform.
Don't forget, make sure you tune into the RATV News Break each Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Until then, be blessed and be great.
Welcome to What's Going On? My name is Demita Joe. Each Wednesday, you can find me here at 3 p.m. I'll be over here discussing different things that are going on and try to bring you a boost of positivity for your week because we all need this. We're going to share some feel-good stories. We might find a hometown hero. We may take a look at some trending topic. And sometimes we might even find a lesson in a not-so-warm and fuzzy story if we can. I'm Demita Joe, and I'll see you guys on the next episode right here on What's Going On?
Hey, it's your girl Tia Robertson. I'm the host of Entrepreneur Insider. Right here on RETV every Thursday at 6 p.m. Eastern for entrepreneurs and news that you need to know about. See you there.